This is the Illusive Gathering podcast, where true horror stories are told in terrifying detail. Some serial killers hunt in the shadows of alleyways. Others lurk in crowded streets. But one man turned the vast wilderness of Alaska into his own personal hunting ground. Between 1971 and 1983, Robert Hansen, known as the Butcher Baker, abducted, tortured, and killed at least 17 women, releasing them into the remote wilderness only to hunt them down like animals. He was an unassuming bakery owner by day, but a sadistic predator by night. This is the horrifying story of Robert Hansen, the Butcher Baker of Alaska. Anchorage in the 1980s.
Anchorage in the late 1970s and early 1980s was a city of contradictions. It was experiencing rapid economic growth due to the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, which brought an influx of workers, money, and crime. The city was filled with rough men looking for work, travelers passing through, and those seeking a fresh start in the last frontier. With money flowing in, strip clubs, massage parlors, and underground sex work thrived. Women, many from out of state, came to Anchorage hoping to make quick money as dancers or escorts. For some, it was an opportunity. For others, it was a trap. It was easy to disappear in Anchorage. The surrounding wilderness was vast, merciless, and almost impossible to search. A person could go missing and no one would ever find their body. Robert Hansen understood this. He knew exactly how to make women vanish.
The discovery of a survivor.
June 13, 1983. Anchorage, Alaska. A truck driver was making his usual early morning rounds when he saw something, or someone, running barefoot along the street. It was a young woman, disheveled, her wrists in handcuffs, her face swollen with terror. He pulled over. She was frantic, pleading for help. Through gasps, she said she had been kidnapped, beaten. She barely escaped. Her name was Cindy Paulson. Cindy told police about a man who had held her captive in his home. He had chained her to a post, assaulted her repeatedly, and told her that she was going to die. When Hansen stepped away to prepare his plane, likely to fly her to the wilderness, Cindy saw her chance. He had left her in his car momentarily. She bolted, still in handcuffs, desperate to escape before he returned. The man she described was mild-mannered, soft-spoken, and deeply respected in town. His name was Robert Hansen, a local baker with a wife and 2 children. He had an alibi, a rock-solid one. His friends swore he was with them. Law enforcement hesitated. After all, Hansen was a family man, a business owner, a hunter. But Cindy Paulson wasn't lying.
Law enforcement struggles.
Cindy Paulson's story should have led to Hansen's immediate arrest. But it didn't. The Anchorage Police Department had a history of dismissing cases involving sex workers and dancers. Many of Hansen's victims worked in clubs or were transient, which made it easy for law enforcement to assume they had just left town. And then there was Hansen's image. He was seen as a quiet, hard-working baker, a man who had overcome childhood struggles, a devoted father. He was well-liked by business owners, police officers, and even his hunting buddies. Cindy, on the other hand, was a 17-year-old sex worker. To some officers, she wasn't a victim. She was a troubled girl making wild accusations. When police first brought Hansen in for questioning, he denied everything. His hunting buddies vouched for him. His wife supported him. And, without physical evidence, the case against him fell apart. Hansen walked free. But Cindy Paulson's escape planted a seed of doubt. It made some officers question everything. And soon they would uncover a nightmare.
The vanishing women of Anchorage.
Cindy wasn't the first to go missing. Throughout the late 70s and early 80s, young women, primarily sex workers and dancers, had been disappearing from Anchorage. Some were found later, buried in shallow graves deep in the Alaskan wilderness. Others were never found at all. Victims were stripped naked, shot, and left in the unforgiving tundra. Some bore signs of torture. Some had been hunted. But police had few leads. The victims came from vulnerable backgrounds. Many people barely noticed when they went missing, until Cindy Paulson survived. Even before Cindy Paulson's escape, bodies had been turning up in the Alaskan wilderness. But investigators hadn't connected the dots, until Cindy survived and a search of Hansen's home revealed the chilling map.
The profile of a predator.
Robert Hansen was not the kind of man you'd expect to be a killer. He was small, awkward, and had a stutter. He had grown up bullied, often rejected by women. He had a passion for hunting, trophy hunting. His walls were lined with stuffed animal heads, proof of his skill with a rifle. But hunting animals wasn't enough. He developed a violent hatred toward women, especially those he deemed impure. He fantasized about power, about getting revenge. By the time he moved to Alaska, he had already been arrested for petty crimes. Theft, assault. But no one saw him for what he really was.
The human hunting grounds.
Hansen's method was terrifying. He would lure women, primarily sex workers and dancers, with promises of money, a ride, or a warm place to stay. Once they were in his grasp, the nightmare began. Chained in his basement, his victims endured hours, sometimes days, of relentless sexual violence. Hansen would rape them repeatedly, tormenting them psychologically, telling them they were going to die. Some were tortured with knives or beaten into submission. For some, he offered false hope, acting as if they might survive. Others never got that illusion. He bound them, loaded them into his car or plane, and took them deep into the wilderness, where the real hunt began. Once in the vast, freezing wilderness, he would release them, naked, bruised, terrified. He let them run. Then he stalked them like animals. From a distance, he would take his rifle and hunt them down one by one. Some ran for miles. Others tried to hide. But he always found them. Their bodies were left in the wilderness, sometimes partially buried, sometimes left for animals to scavenge. He kept trophies, jewelry, IDs, even scraps of clothing. And he kept a map. A chilling, blood-stained map, marked with the graves of his victims. He was careful, meticulous, and for over a decade he got away with it.
The arrest and confession.
Cindy Paulson's escape forced police to take another look at Hansen. This time they got a warrant. At first, Hansen had an alibi and police couldn't hold him. But months later, a second search warrant uncovered a house of horrors.
The very same handcuffs and chains Cindy had described. A secret cache of firearms, including the rifle used to hunt his victims. A collection of jewelry, trophies from the women he had murdered. And the most damning evidence, a hand-drawn map marking the graves of his prey.
At first, Hansen denied everything. But when confronted with the overwhelming evidence, especially the hidden map, he struck a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. In exchange, he led investigators to burial sites of some of his victims. He confessed to 17 murders, but investigators believed the true number was much higher, possibly over 30, based on the locations marked on his personal map. The way he spoke about them was chilling. There was no remorse, no guilt. To him, they were not people. They were prey. He described how he raped, tortured, and hunted them down, recalling details with a calm, detached manner, as if he were simply recounting a hunting trip. But many believe the number was much higher. Some marks on his map corresponded to known victims. Others, to bodies never found. Hansen's method ensured some women would never be recovered. The Alaskan wilderness is merciless, and whatever remained of them was lost to time.
The trial and sentencing.
In 1984, Robert Hansen was sentenced to 461 years in prison. No chance of parole. He remained behind bars until his death in 2014. Even in prison, he never showed remorse. He was a man who lived to hunt. And for over a decade, his prey had been human.
The chilling legacy.
Hansen's crimes left a scar on Alaska. His story inspired books, films, and even a 2013 movie, The Frozen Ground, starring John Cusack and Nicolas Cage. His case changed how police handle missing persons, especially those in vulnerable communities. But the true horror? Some of his victims were never found. The Alaskan wilderness is vast, merciless. And somewhere out there, beneath the frozen soil, are women whose names we will never know.
Some killers hide in plain sight. Some disguise themselves as family men. Hardworking, respectable. Robert Hansen was all of these things. And yet, beneath the surface, he was a monster. His hunting ground was the frozen wasteland of Alaska. His sport was murder. And his prey were human beings. This has been the Illusive Gathering podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe for more terrifying true crime cases and dark history. Until next time.